is up, guys? Welcome to the first inaugural Drunken Mug Reacts MMA podcast. I'm going to start doing a few more of these podcasts, I think, every week. The reaction videos are kind of played out. And honestly, I think for my own personality, what I like to do, I'm more suited to giving you general musings on the world of mixed martial arts, combat sports, boxing in general. And whoever wants to listen can listen, and if not, I don't blame you. Today is Sunday, August 23rd. Last night, we had UFC on ESPN. We had Munhoz versus Edgar. So, lots were going on. I got a chance to watch the card. I just want to start with, the underdogs were going off on this card. There was some crazy upsets. So we'll get into the Edgar and Munoz and everything that came with that. But I wanted to start with the opening fight of the night. We had Timur Valiev versus Trevin Jones. And Timur Valiev is a pretty distinguished fighter out of Dagestan. He's fighting and training in Jackson Wink right now while he's in the U.S. He was coming into the UFC as his, as a debut, but came in with a lot of pedigree. I mean, these Dagestani fighters are tough. They're talented. He's 30 years old. He's got a lot of experience. And in round one, he beat the shit out of Trevin Jones. So he was nailing him, just lighting him up with these kicks, building up the damage. And but Trevin Jones was tough. He survived. Then in the second round, Jones just blasted him and took him out with I think it was a hook. Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly, but anyway, just destroys him and takes Valiev out, and it was an unbelievable upset. So Timur Valiev loses to Trevin Jones in the opening fight of the night. There was a few other good fights that kind of came and gone. Same thing, I thought Jordan Wright looked pretty good in his debut against Villanueva. He was giving up a lot of weight. Villanueva cut him up really bad, and it was probably, I saw some pictures afterwards. I think it was probably the right call to end that fight. The other upset, this was insane. Daniel Rodriguez, D-Rod, and Dwight Grant. Holy shit. So, Daniel Rodriguez, I really like this guy. He's an exciting fighter. He's tough, gritty, training with Joe Schilling and 10th Planet with Eddie Bravo. He was just getting worked by Dwight Grant. He got dropped and was taking, and kudos to the ref who gave him a million chances to kind of fight through. And Daniel Rodriguez, to his credit, was covering up. He was defending the way he should be. He was hurt, but as soon as you got up, he was just back at it. Drops Dwight Grant with a quick little left check hook to the chin, and just from there, just basically pieced him up. So it was honestly an insane, maybe round of the year type of fight, more of like a street brawl than like a professional MMA fight, in the sense of just the pace and the pressure that the two put on each other. They both were going for it right out of the gates. So pretty impressive comeback win from Daniel Rodriguez. The next fight I wanted to talk about, Maria Agapova versus Shanna Dobson, not Shayna Dobson. Maria Agapova had some hype coming in, I have to admit. My money was on her. She's a really young and talented fighter out of Kazakhstan, good boxer. But you could just see in this fight, she just didn't have the experience needed. She came out guns a-blazing, set a pace that she couldn't keep up with. Basically, exhaustion beat her. And to Shanna Dobson's credit, I don't want to take anything away from her. She was pretty tough and fought a smart fight, and was able to then utilize her grappling, utilize her clinch into the takedowns, and basically outwork Maria Agapova to the finish in the second round. So, great job from her. I think Agapova's young. She'll be back, and she's got a pretty bright future. I know Shanna Dobson, I didn't know much about her. She just seems gritty. She's a dog, and I think she's probably a tough fight for anyone in her division. Joe Solecki and Austin Hubbard. Man, Joe Solecki made it look easy. The grappling pedigree was on display. I thought Austin Hubbard was going to have the stand-up advantage. Joe Solecki's boxing and distance and range looked really good. He picked his shots properly, basically took no damage. Took Austin Hubbard's back and rear naked choke. He looked really good. So that's a nice up and comer in the lightweight 55 division, which, I mean, that division is so ridiculous. There's like 30 guys in that division that are, just scratching that top 10 talent. Like, it is so good and so deep. And the guys now that are ranked in the 20s and 30s are so good. It's crazy. It's another good fight. Mike Rodriguez defeated Marcin Prachnio. I didn't know much about him. Mike Rodriguez, again, he looked pretty good too. Put a elbow and punches KO. It says all 11 of Rodriguez's career victories have come by stoppage. So this guy's finishing people, but it'll be interesting to see once he gets a higher ranked opponent, what he looks like in the second and third round. Somebody who's not going to break or wilt too quickly. We didn't get to see OSP and Menefield. Says so that fight is being rescheduled. OSP has COVID. He's got the Rona, so hope he's okay. Wish the best to him. I'd like to see that fight, and OSP is always dangerous. Let's get into the main event. Frankie Edgar versus Pedro Munhoz. Holy smokes. Frankie Edgar is just a timeless competitor. Guy's 38 years old. He looked as fast as he's kind of almost like ever looked. His body looked great at 135. He said the cut wasn't all that bad. Both guys are just consummate professionals. Both guys, you could tell, fought very smart. They both had implemented their game plans well. Frankie Edgar boxing really, really crisp combinations. I like what Stylebender said, more combos than a Burger King. Absolutely. Frankie Edgar just was putting together his combos really nicely, usually landing on the second to third shot. It was a really big tactical battle of footwork and who could take the range and the angles, cutting off the cage between each other. Pedro Munhoz has a granite chin. He throws huge, hard shots. Those start to add up as well. They both just were... I don't know. I'd have to watch that fight again. I thought Munhoz might have edged it, but I'd have to watch it again. And if someone wants to make an argument that it was Edgar, just as the judges also thought, I couldn't argue with it. It was that close, and you could tell that these were two guys that are just both easily could be fighting for a title. Obviously, Edgar is a former champion himself. I think where you go from here, there's lots of fun stuff. I heard the Frankie Edgar versus Dominic Cruz mentioned. John Anik, I think, brought that up. I love that fight. I think that's two veterans who are still basically in their prime. Like, they physically take care of themselves. I know Dominic Cruz has had his history of injuries, but as long as he's healthy, I think that could be an amazing fight. I could really see Dominic Cruz's footwork giving Frankie some issues as well. But that one's gonna be tough to call. Munhoz, where does he go from here? He dropped the decision to Aljamain. He's a top fighter. He's absolutely a top 10 guy. I think, maybe you give some time to kind of go back and think about where he's at. There's still going to be some good fights for him in the bantamweight division. I don't know if he will ever be champion, and I just say that based off of The division is so good right now. And when you've already lost now to Edgar, and you could make the argument that he won, but when you've already lost to Edgar and you lost to Aljamain, you know, it's tough to make the argument that he is ever going to be able to fight and win the title. You know, a guy like Corey Sandhagen, I know, is fighting Marlon Moraes. Corey Sandhagen and him could make a great matchup. You know, there's Rafael Assunção, although he's coming off 3 losses. You know, Uriah Faber and Pedro Munhoz, that would be a great fight. Merab Devashili, that might be the fight you could do. That's a step up. You could do Pedro Munhoz and Merab. You know, I think that's a great matchup, and that would, if Merab could then beat Pedro, that puts him maybe into the top 5 in the mix to maybe one or two wins away from a title shot. So some interesting stuff going on. There's Cody Stamann, Rob Font, lots of guys in that division who could be tough fights. I know Chito Vera, Marlon Vera will be looking for a big fight coming up. So that's something you could look at too after Marlon Vera took out Sugar Sean O'Malley. On that note, I wanted to touch on that. I missed that fight, but I saw the highlights, and I think I won't say I saw enough to have a great opinion on it, but I'll give it one anyway. A lot of people were saying that Sean O'Malley just suffered a kind of a freak leg kick, an accident with his leg and was hurt. Well, listen, if you're inflicting that damage through your kicks, those count. It doesn't matter whether you say it's kind of freak or not. You know, sure, did he look a little sharper from what I saw in the highlights in the stand-up? Yeah, maybe. But it all comes down to what damage do your shots inflict. And so if Chito Vera was able to inflict damage into his leg, which then took out his movement, that counts, right? That's part of a game plan. That's things guys drill for. These low calf kicks and these kicks to the knees and things like that, that's a part of the game right now. I think Sean O'Malley has gotten a little too comfortable with his hype. He's gotten a little too ahead of himself. You know, he said he was humbled, but then you listen to some interviews afterwards and he's calling Marlon Vera a bitch and saying, you know, oh, if you look at his career in 5 years versus mine, okay, that's all well and good, but you just lost. Okay, the guy finished you on the ground. You didn't show a whole lot of ground and pound defense there and wherewithal to get back to your feet. So, you know, I think if you're truly humbled, you'd probably take some time to really think about getting your shit together and realizing that you don't have the world by the balls, in the sense you haven't beat anybody in the top 5. And if you look at that division, like, he can say all he want, but these guys like Marlon Moraes and Petr Yan and Aljamain, Frankie, Pedro, Cody, Jose Aldo, Dominic Cruz, Corey Sandhagen, all of those guys are such tough fights for anybody, especially for Sean O'Malley at a young age. So you can sit here and talk shit all you want, but until you do it, I would say, if you're truly humbled, keep your mouth shut. But hey, that's just me. Looking forward, there's some good fights coming up. We've got Anthony Smith versus Alexander Rakic coming up next week. Alexander Rakic is a really good prospect out of American Top Team, I believe. I know he lost the split decision to Volkan, but he's still a very good fighter, and he's an extremely tough fight for Anthony Smith. Robbie Lawler and Neil Magny. Ooh, that is a good fight. Robbie Lawler is always comes to throw down. Neil Magny has a gas tank for days. Super tough. Part of that Elevation Fight team. That's going to be a great fight. It depends kind of where Lawler's at now with his career. You know, like, he maybe has he had a skid kind of a few years or 5-6 years ago before his title run. Maybe he's on another skid. He's a veteran. He's got a lot of miles on him. Magny's a veteran as well. Super game in every area. So if I'm a betting man, I might think I'm going to take Magny to win a decision on that one. But we'll see what happens. In September, we've got Thiago Santos and Glover Teixeira. I think you got to favor Thiago Santos in that, but if you've seen Glover Teixeira just doesn't go away. He's such a cagey vet. He's still finishing guys like Anthony Smith, Nikita Krylov. Well, he won a decision against Krylov, but finished Smith, finished Kutelaba. So still super game and super dangerous. Thiago Santos, if he has, he was injured in his fight with John Jones, so as long as he's healthy, he should be, I would think, the favorite to win in that. He's just such a dangerous, tough fighter. So much power in his hands to finish guys, so pretty interesting. All right, what else do we want to talk about here? Kind of been rapid fire for the last little bit. Covington versus Woodley. September 19th, fight night. That's a great free ESPN free fight. I'm gonna probably favor Colby Covington in that. I think Tyron Woodley has struggled just with his age and the miles on his body as well. Covington, I think, has something to prove after his loss to Kamaru Usman. He sets such a high pace. But that should be a really exciting fight to watch. What do you guys think? I mean, I favor Covington in that one. He's not my favorite guy, but he's an unbelievable fighter with the pace and the wrestling that he sets on guys. So it'll be interesting. I mean, if you can't take Woodley down, then and they're boxing, it's just a matter. Woodley's got power to finish the fight. Woodley can land a big shot. Covington doesn't use a ton of feints or head movement. He pretty much is just in your face, kind of bop, 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 just rapid fire for 5 straight rounds. And so you have to be able to fight a smart fight and be able to move and take the fight into your control and dictate it where you want to go. But it's a lot easier said than done when fighting Covington. Then at the end of September, we have the big one. Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. I saw that interview they had recently on SportsCenter where they were getting heated and Costa's taking off his shirt, trying to show everyone his abs. It's like, okay, man, we know you're in shape. Israel Adesanya's got the pink hair. It's gonna be exciting. Costa in that first round is such a monster and such a badass. But Adesanya is a master of distance. He's a master of range. I think he's gonna be very hard to finish. So I gotta go with the champ on this one. I think Israel Adesanya can keep it. I don't think he's gonna finish Costa. I think Costa's pretty tough. I think it's gonna be very tactical. But I think Adesanya just edges him out in his ability to pot shot and fight the smart fight. From range, from angles, he's going to have better octagon control and ring generalship. So my money is on the champion, Israel, to remain the champion and still. And then you got Dominic Reyes and Jan Blachowicz for the... John Jones has given up his title, is going to heavyweight. So I like Dominic Reyes in that fight. I think Reyes is the second best light heavyweight in the world. After John Jones. Like to see the winner of that fight the winner of Thiago Santos and Glover Teixeira. So some big fights coming up in September. Okay, looking ahead into the fall, there's some really, really good fights I'm looking forward to. Top of the list, probably Marlon Moraes and Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen just got demolished by Aljamain in his last fight, but I just think he shit the bed. He knows he did, and he has so much more to give. I think a fight against Marlon Moraes, who is championship level, championship caliber fighter, is a perfect fight for him to come back and prove, is he at the top of the heap, or is he a step below? Marlon Moraes, his kicks, his speed and athleticism is a nightmare for anyone. Corey Sandhagen's feints, his boxing, his movement and footwork. It's going to be such a fun striking match. And I think it'll go to the ground, and neither guy is going to be afraid of engaging or through some grappling exchanges. But for the most part, I think this one is going to be contested on the feet, and it's going to be very tactical, and I can't wait. I'm going to edge Marlon Moraes on this one with a little more experience. He's going to be hungry after some of his last showings and losses, and I think Moraes honestly is a top 3 fighter in that division, and could still become a champion again someday, against a likes of Petroyan or an Aljamain, or someone like that. Sandhagen, I think, has a bright future as well. There's no doubt. That's obvious. But right now, I'm not sold that he's at the same level as the top 3 to 4 guys. And he might be in that pack that is just behind. We got October 17th, Ortega and Korean Zombie. Oh, damn, this is a good one. Korean Zombie has been looked like a killer in his last fight. Who did he finish? Frankie Edgar. He finished Frankie Edgar. He finished Renato Carneiro. And his fight with Yair Rodriguez was really close. And I remember him edging out a lot of big portions of that fight until he got KO'd by that unbelievable back uppercut KO or elbow from Yair. So that's an unbelievable fight. So, I want to see, can Ortega submit Chan Sung Jung? Is he going to be able to take the power of Korean Zombie's hands? Like, there's so many cool things happening in that fight. That's a top of the food chain featherweight fight. I don't even know if I could pick a winner or not. That's a gimme. It really depends how Ortega hasn't fought in. It's going to be a year and a half, so it's kind of a matter of how does he bounce back. And those are the big questions for me. Either way, it is going to be exciting. These are some unbelievable fights coming up. What else we got? Oh, in October, nothing else important. Just Khabib and Gaethje, blah, blah, blah. Fuck, I'm kidding. Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. Holy shit. It's like every time Khabib fights, we kind of have to say this is the biggest, most important lightweight fight of all time. So we did it with, we did it with Khabib and Conor because it was the biggest. Khabib and Tony didn't happen, so it became Khabib and Poirier, which was, one of the most important lightweight fights. This has to be now, objectively, this has to be the biggest lightweight fight. Maybe not by the numbers of Conor McGregor, although I think this will do close, if not the same or bigger. But as far as the actual sport is concerned and moving this forward, the stylistic matchup between Gaethje and Khabib. Gaethje is maybe the perfect fighter right now to truly challenge Khabib's pedigree. Like, he has the wrestling that Khabib will take him down, but will he be able to keep Gaethje down the way he's been able to keep down other guys? We saw Khabib and Iaquinta in the later rounds started to fade a little bit, and Iaquinta gave him a bit of trouble in the grappling exchanges. We saw Conor McGregor win a round in round 3 where Khabib started to tire. And if Iaquinta and McGregor, who have excellent pressure with their striking, if Khabib was tiring with that, then Justin Gaethje's another whole other level of tornado when it comes to the pressure you face. I'm not saying Gaethje is a better striker than McGregor, and even let's say Poirier, for example. What I'm saying is that the pressure and the tornado and the storm that he creates and the chaos he creates, to go through that for 5 rounds and to be able to still hit your takedowns with a guy who is a All-American, and then have to keep him down is a daunting task. Okay. Now that might seem like I'm talking up Gaethje as a favorite here. I'm not. Khabib is 100% the favorite. Khabib takes down everyone he fights. If you ask Daniel Cormier or you ask Khabib's training partners or Javier Mendez, they will say, listen, Khabib is going to take Gaethje down. It's not a question. He is going to take him down, and he is going to beat him up. He has done that to every professional fighter he's ever faced in the history of his career, and they will tell you that there will be nothing different when he faces Justin Gaethje. And the crazy thing is, they may not be wrong. And every time Khabib fights, we do this fan thing or this analyst thing where we go, oh, but this guy offers this, or this guy offers so-and-so, and he's going to have to watch out for Conor's left hand. He's going to have to watch out for the footwork of Dustin Poirier, or the toughness or the kicks of Edson Barbosa. Yes, that is true. But every time he takes them down and he beats them up. I can't wait to see if this will be any different. I think it will, a little. I think Gaethje is going to create that storm. And once we get past into the first, second, into that third and fourth round, that's when things really get interesting for me. I think Gaethje is tough enough to survive on the ground with Khabib for at least a round or two. Okay, I think he's going to create really good scrambles. He's going to move. He's going to be super active. He's not just going to hang out. And the damage that he can inflict on the way in is extremely dangerous to somebody like Khabib. But this is why we watch, right? This is why this sport is so fucking awesome, is that we get all of these, we have all of these questions, and then they get answered. Or at least we hope they get answered, you know? And this is the best part about watching mixed martial arts, is I get to watch and I just get to wonder what is going to happen. It's not like you're watching your favorite football team, your hockey team, you get fucking pissed off because they play like shit. I get to watch this objectively and go, what the fuck is going to happen? And I cannot wait. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. All right. We've done half an hour so far. Shit, that flew by. Like I said, I'm going to try and do one of these every week. Maybe I'll get some friends in here to talk some shit with, muse about different fights and upcoming stuff. For the next one, I want to kind of get into a little bit of boxing, see what's happening in the world of boxing moving up. There's some really cool fights coming up there. If you guys have any comments or any fights or fighters that you want to hear me chat about or hear my thoughts on, let me know. And if you got any criticism, tell me. I'll see what, maybe I don't change at all. All right, that does it for me, guys. I am out. Have a good one, and until next time.